Welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is brought to you by Marvelous Martial Arts Academy. Have you ever wanted to learn how to fight like a true master of the arts? Well, now is your chance to quite possibly become a martial arts legend. Simply call Marvin and her minions at 1-800-MIXED-UP and be sure to tell them Tammy and Eddie sent you. So, this week's episode is all about Shang-Chi, Marvel's first Asian superhero. In Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, after spending a lifetime running from his past, Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, is finally forced to confront his past and the family he left behind after he and his best friend Katie, played by Awkwafina, are accosted on a city bus by members of the Ten Ring Society. So, Tammy, is Shang-Chi Avenger level or just average?
You said like Avenger level?
Yeah.
Like the first Avengers?
Yeah, or worthy of being an Avenger. Do you think
Well,
he's
yeah, he's definitely worthy of being an Avenger. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. Like, yeah, it was good. It was funny. I love Awkwafina. She's awesome. Michelle Yeoh is just, she's a diva. Like, she's just a queen. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I went in with like mixed feelings about seeing this movie. And I came out pleasantly surprised at how much I did enjoy the movie. What
yeah,
about you?
yeah, me. Well, I was always more excited about Shang-Chi than you were. I, I think it's fair to say that,
That is
right?
correct.
Okay. So I always remember what you say. So I went in with cautious optimism because I didn't want to go in just automatically liking it because it was a Marvel movie, or thinking that it was just going to be this great thing, giving it already have or going in with it already having me being predisposed to liking it because it was a Marvel movie. So I tried to leave my bias, my Marvel bias, my superhero bias out the door because honestly, Shang-Chi is one of those superheroes I had never heard of in the comics. Like I said, recently, probably just since the whole MCU is when I really got into the comics. So he was one of those lesser known superheroes to me. Um, and I didn't know much about him. And when they announced the movie, I was like, "Oh, okay." And I love Simu Liu. He's great. So I was excited that he got the role. But yeah, I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And just a side note to Disney, you might want to do Mulan and let the people at Marvel take over Mulan. I'm just saying, you know. Yeah, but I really did like it, and I agree. I thought Aquafina was good, and Michelle Yeoh is just Michelle Yeoh, like you said, she's a fucking diva. And Tony Long, I think I said his name right. Uh, he's awesome too, and he's a big uh, star in China. But I realize we've also seen him in a lot more Western movies as well, where unfortunately he usually plays the sidekick or like the bad guy who gets taken out. But he really was amazing in this movie. So,
That's the
um,
father, right?
yeah, who
Okay.
played Wenwu. And I loved. Speaking of Wenwu, I loved the intro, like telling his father's backstory and how he became immortal when he discovered the rings, which they're they like they bestow immortality and godlike powers on the person who has them or who's in possession of them. But they also can be used for like good or evil because they kind of take on that person's essence, I guess, that person's natural, I don't know, chi, I guess we'll call it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you're predisposed, like if you're predisposed to be an asshole, then the rings are going to bring that out in you. And if you're predisposed to be good, then they're going to bring that out in you too. So that's how they can be good, used for good and evil. I thought that was really interesting.
Hmm. That's cool.
Like you didn't see that part or notice that part, like they kind
Well,
of
yeah, when they said that he could have used the rings for good, but he decided to use the rings to gain power and money. And that was his focus for 1,000 years,
yeah.
was just to gain as much power and money as he possibly could, no matter what it took or what
Yeah.
was destroyed in its past.
Yeah, so it really, so it's like it's not the rings that cause you to do good or bad. It's just they kind of adapt to the person who possesses them at the time. So
That's the
I
reason
thought,
why the rings were his gold when his mother had them, and gold when he got them, but blue when his father had them.
yeah. So they tap into that energy, and it was interesting that no one knows where they came from. Even like, and I wonder if they're going to play a bigger role in Doctor Strange, since that's ultimately where they ended up was with Doctor Strange's. Oh, I forgot his name. I love
Wong.
that. Yeah, Wong. I love him too. With him examining the rings and still, and even with all their knowledge and mysticism, still not really having any idea of what where they came from and what they're truly capable of. So that would be something I'm really interested in, with maybe the next Shang-Chi movie, or as we move along, to just see what the rings are truly, truly capable of, especially in the right hands, because we know evil knows no bounds. So I'm sure they could be used to destroy the world or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see what Shang-Chi does with them. Um, so speaking of Aquafina and Katie, she was a character, and like I said, I was kind of surprised, but she was a character that was just made up, or invented for or created for this story, for this role, for this movie. What did you think about her?
I love Aquafina. I think she has great comedic performance is not the right word, but it's the only word that's coming to me. She has great comedic performance. The only thing is, I'm like, why do they have her dressing like she can't be cute? I will say, like, I hated how they downplayed. I don't know if it's her womanhood. I don't know if that's the right word, but like I feel like they kind of downplayed like her womanhood and everything like that. Like how she was dressed, and I was just like, oh my God, is that how they dress in California? Because she looked horrible.
Well, I don't know. I think it was maybe just her character, like her character's laid back, I don't care attitude, just her whatever. Like she seemed like literally, she seemed like the type of girl or woman who would just roll out of bed and put on whatever was on the floor that didn't smell or didn't have stains. Like that's just the vibe you got from her. Especially when her friend was like, you have a master's degree in Berkeley. I'm like, from Berkeley. I'm like, wait a minute. You have a master's degree from Berkeley. You're living in San Francisco and you're parking fucking cars. Yeah.
She didn't
So,
know what her life mission was.
yeah. So it's, and up until this moment, you kind of got that, really, that she wasn't in such a hurry to find out either. Like she was just one of those people who didn't take it too seriously. Like they had never, it's like they were stuck in that eternal high school phase, that high school college phase where you never truly grow up. Like they were avoiding, both her and Sean were avoiding responsibility for as long as humanly possible.
I agree.
So I
But
think her.
she still could have dressed better. Like I no, I understand the whole rolling out of bed and like just putting on whatever. But there's a way of doing it, and I felt like they really really downplayed her woman, like her woman, like her femininity or whatever. Like they downplayed that. And I'm like, why? Like, because it's
Well,
kind of like it made it seem like, even though you had instances of seeing that there could be something there between her and Sean, um the downplaying of her as a woman was like, okay, like, no, she's definitely just the best friend. Like it ain't never gonna go further than just the best friend, how she dressing. Like, so they definitely should change her outfits. It was horrible. It was trash.
I don't know if that was, well, Aquafina is not the most feminine. She's more of a tomboy, and she dresses more like a tomboy too. Like she's worn dresses. I've seen her in dresses, but for most of the premieres for Shang-Chi, she was in really nice suits, and they had feminine cuts, and there was some, but she just doesn't. she's just not overly feminine in her dress to begin with. When she does wear makeup and all that stuff, she looks beautiful, like I said. So I don't know if that was more of her input or their input, or maybe it was a combination of just her character not really giving a fuck at the time. But I'm with you. Is it because you didn't want us to think of her as anything as just a best friend, or maybe that's just how they saw each other, like she saw herself as just one of the guys and he never really thought of her in that way. And maybe as they progress, because at the end it was something about after they quote unquote saved the world, um her, I don't know, it wasn't much different from what it was as far as the style, but the outfit was better, like it matched more, like it seemed like she put more thought into it, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention to the way she dressed, but I did pick up on the vibes of, isn't she, like, is she meant to be his roadie, like his sidekick, like his bestie, like his homie? Is this going to be a Captain America Black Widow thing where y'all just always remain sister, brother, friend? Or are
Only in the
you,
movie. Only in the
or
movie, y'all.
are y'all going to go along the lines, yeah, Captain America and Black Widow?
Yeah, only in the
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Like in the comics and everything, like they're full on like couple. So yeah, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was disappointed when she chose the Hulk too, but we've talked about that. Um, but yeah, or is it going to be more of a Pepper Potts, Tony Stark thing where they do eventually fall in love? Like you saw glimpses where it could go either way. Um, right now, I don't know. I think I'm kind of liking Friend Zone. I don't know. What about you? Like, where would you, do you think?
It's not like I'm really not thinking of like, oh, like could be a possible couple or something like that. I'm just saying that I feel that the choice in outfits that they put her in was to make sure that most people didn't take that route to think that the character that Aquafina played could end up with Shang-Chi. That's how I feel. Like it was ridiculous outfits, and not like I understand because she is a tomboy. I get it, but there is a different way than like I feel like they went very touristy on how they made her dress. I'm just like, who wears that? Like she was dressing like a old grandma who don't know colors.
Again, I'm going with the she probably just rolled out of bed and put on the first thing that didn't stink or have like too many stains on it. As long, like, matching did not seem to be a top priority for her, just based on the character. But as far as the two characters themselves go, would you be opposed, or do you think they should just stay as friends, dressing the way
To
she
be
dresses
honest,
aside?
I don't care either way. Like I really don't. Like if they were to progress as something more, I could see that. If they were to just stay really, really good friends, I could see that as well.
And but okay, and speaking of friends, like I I was I wondered, and it was one of the things I wonder about in the movie, and then just something that's just kind of been gnawing at me. Like one of the plot holes that I hope they fill in is, who the hell was his family when he was living in America? Because we see how he gets here. Like his father sends him on a mission, what, when he's 14, his first mission, and he never returns. So did he end up in foster care? Did he, like, who was his family? Eh,
Oh,
like,
I assumed he was in foster care.
yeah. So I was just like, huh? Like that part didn't make sense to me. So that was just one of those big question marks. Like, did he have a family? Because it really didn't say. And and I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense as to why, like, they're so close and he's always with her family, but it never really said like who his family or what his situation was once he did not go back. But you just assumed he was in foster care.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most logical thought. I mean, I didn't think too much of it, but the most logical thing would be that he ended up in foster care.
Hmm. That's interesting. And then the part where she goes, and how they became best friends is because she saved him from being beat up by bullies. Because what, she was like, he's this little scrawny kid who couldn't fight, and like that was their meet cute moment, I guess, and the moment that bonded them forever. And now all of a sudden, flash forward to the next day on the bus, and she's like, "Who the hell are you?" Because he's just like kicking ass. And I was like, wow. And I love that bus scene. It was legendary. Like it was one of the best fight scenes I can remember seeing in a movie.
I agree. Like I thought it was really, really good. Like the stunts and the action of it all, like really, really good. Like following along with it. And I was just like, oh shoot, like really good stunts.
Yeah, and the guy on the bus who, and I'm like, that is so 2021. Like that is so, yo, hey,
Like
this
y'all, I
is,
took a couple of karate classes. So I'm about to grade this for y'all real quick.
and all I could think of was like, yeah, that would probably be the video we are watching on YouTube or on Twitter later. Like, yo, look at this fight. Then someone sends it over to TikTok and remixes it, drops a beat on it, and I'm just like, what the? And I was just like, but that was the most 2020 thing ever, or 2000 thing ever. And I was just like, yeah, it went viral. But they said it took them like 4 weeks to film that fight scene. Just that one scene took them 4 weeks to complete, which I was like, oh wow, I could only imagine. Um, and ow, I'm sorry, but I also have a theory. I think Katie's grandpa was the one who killed his mom.
Okay, you gonna be in that theory by yourself?
You're gonna leave me alone there?
Yeah, because I don't believe that. But okay.
Like it was just, I don't know, it was just something I thought about when I was watching the movie. Like I was like, okay, so he ended up in this place, and what really made me think that was at the end where he was like, I lied to you again, and I told you that I never got the person who killed my mother. And he's like, I did. And so I was just thinking, I was like, ooh, is this the part where he told her? But it's just that feeling I got, like, her grandpa just, he left, and he came to America and probably tried to start a new life or something. I don't know. Or he took his family to America and started a new life. But that's just the feeling I got. Like it wouldn't surprise me if ultimately that came out somewhere that her grandfather was the one, um, that was one of the ones that killed his mom. That's just me and my
I mean, it'd be
theory.
interesting if it turns out to be correct, and I'd be like, "Good job, Eddie." It just never crossed my mind, but interesting concept.
Yeah, so I don't know why I thought that. It's just like maybe because it just seemed random. And I guess I'm learning that in Marvel movies, very little is random. Like it always connects the thread. Like how this is connected to Iron Man. Did you pick up on that?
Where?
So in Iron Man, remember when Tony Stark figures out that his weapons are actually being sold to this group of terrorists?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Chin Rings organization. Like when he sees the
Oh, I
emblem
mean,
on his
yeah,
weapons, and
yeah,
then um when he's kidnapped, that's who has him, and that's who Jeff Daniels' character, I forgot his name, um but that's who he's working with, the Ten Rings organization. And then the connection between Iron Man 3, obviously, with Ben Kingsley's horrible acting. I love that dude. He's so funny. He was
so
like the best part.
ridiculous.
He was the best part of Iron Man 3 because Iron Man 3 was bad. Like, up until Thor 2, it was probably my least favorite Marvel movie, but Thor 2 just takes the cake. Although I think I'm alone. A lot of people liked Iron Man 3.
Who? Because I've never met anybody that liked Iron Man 3. They would say that it's not as bad as some other Marvel movies, but it ain't great either.
Nah, like I said, up until Thor 2, it was definitely my least favorite. Like I thought it was the worst. So
And I'll take it. I'll take it over the second one. I'm sorry.
take it over the second Iron Man.
Yep.
The second Iron Man is when he.
It was
That's
with Mickey Rourke.
Oh yeah. See, and then Iron Man 3 is with the kid. Now I'll take Iron Man 3 over the. I'll take Iron Man 2 over the second over the third one. That one was just ridiculous to me. But so yeah, that was the connection. And then of course Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery, the actor, and he was just so ridiculous and how he became how he wanted to become an actor because of the Planet of the Apes.
Because monkeys were riding horses.
Yeah, and he thought the monkeys were actors. No, he thought the monkeys were real, and they taught the monkeys how to act.
He was like, it was amazing. Like, I realized what my life dream was to be. Like one of those monkeys riding a horse.
I was just like, dude, you are. That was comic gold. Like it was really,
Well,
really
his whole thing, his whole shtick was really, really good. Because even like at the end during the fight scenes, when Norris is like looking for him, and Norris finds him, and he's like crying and trying to get him up, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm playing a part, play along." And then Norris like rolls over onto his back, and he looks at him, and he's just like, "Good job." And he goes back to like just laying there playing dead. And I was just like, that is like so stupid. Yes.
But it was genius. It was because he was just ridiculous. And when they first see Norris, the headless porcupine thing, and they're like, "Where's his head?" And he's like, "Shh." He's really sensitive about that.
Yes, he is. Don't talk about Norris, headless body.
So I did. Ben Kingsley, he along with Aquafina, they were like comic gold in this movie. It was hilarious.
Even when he went to the his sister's fight club, and he's in the elevator, he gets off the elevator, and the dude like says, "Bus guy," and bus boy, and then he's like, "You're the driver," and then he speaks Chinese to Katie, and she's just like, "Yeah, I don't speak that." He was like, "Oh no worries, I speak ABC."
Yeah.
I was just like I felt like the whole theater like cracked up when he said, "I speak ABC." I said, "We all speak ABC." I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna start saying that to people. I'll be like, "I speak ABC, y'all." That was funny.
The part on the plane where she's like, and he goes, "Well, and she was like, "You lied to me like all this time." And that's a true friend, because you find out that your best friend's been keeping this whole secret from you, a secret life, and then all of a sudden you're like, "I'm gonna go halfway around the world and help you fight your evil father and find the sister that you haven't seen in forever." But
wait, he's on a plane, right? He tells his whole life story on a crowded plane. Like, really? Like nobody else heard your whole life story?
He was whispering.
That was not a whisper.
He was talking slowly. So
is that what it's supposed to be? Because he wasn't even pretending to whisper. He was talking in a regular volume. And I'm like, there's people around you. Like, I'm sure somebody heard it, because I've been nosy. I'd have been like, "Yo, for real?" I'd have been listening to the whole entire thing.
And that flight attendant who was like, "Okay, we're out of beef. So do you want the like?" She's like, "Chicken, because that's all you have, right?"
Well, yeah, but also like it was a flight full of people going to China, and they had a white flight attendant.
Well, maybe it wasn't Air China, but
But more okay, so I know like this is nitpicking, right, y'all? But really, when you go to certain countries, most of the time they try to have flight attendants that look like the country, like look like the people who are in the country that you're visiting. So I'm like, you got a lily white flight attendant on a flight to China. But sure, go ahead, cool.
After Rona, they all quit. It was hard to stop. It was hard to staff up. You got to get in when you fit in. Flight attendants, teachers, and nurses, they all quitting, okay? They like, "I ain't about this life."
Touche.
So, but yeah, but she tripped me out. She's like, chicken, because that's all you have, right? But when he was telling her his name, it's Shang. She's like, you changed your name from Sean to Sean? Like, that's like changing your name to Gina to Gina. I was like, oh gosh, only Aquafina. But yeah, so I really, I don't know. At this point, I see the sparks, and I see that it could go either way, and I'm with you. If their relationship progresses, right now I'm thinking more friends, unless it's a natural progression where you just see it, but don't try to like just force it, I guess. But I do like that they gave her her own thing. Like her purpose wasn't just um being his sidekick or being his best friend. Like, she found out that she was really good at shooting arrows, and so she learned how to do that. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, I like that she played her own part in this thing. And she shot the arrow that basically took down the evil dragon soul sucking thing, which was cool. Um, and speaking of his sister, I loved his sister. She was just badass. Um, and I look forward to what's going to happen between him and his sister, because that they were only on
He's
the
gonna
same
go evil.
yeah, they were only on the same path very temporarily. So I was just like, oh wow.
He's
So
still searching for daddy's love.
yeah, it seems like he's more like their mom, and she's gonna be more like their dad.
Yeah, well, she took over his whole entire 10 rings. She's supposed
I
to be ending it, but instead, she building it back up.
I know, because I'm like, damn girl, how long? Because it got us. That scene at the end, it's like, oh, you're thinking, oh, she really is about to shut it down. And then you go outside, because I was like, then how long does it take her to shut it down? But then it's like, oh shit, she building it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's building it back up in her image. And she was, honestly, she was a lot more lethal than her father. Like, um,
I don't
because
think I think I don't think she was more lethal than her father. I think that she is her father. Like, the father paid attention to the wrong child on building them up to be the person to take over for him. Like, his whole thing was Shang-Chi was his son. So, as you know, being in a patriarchal society that we live in, it's automatic that my son is going to take over for me. So I'm going to train him to take over the 10 rings, and not only the 10 rings that I have that I wear, but also to take over the 10 rings, the organization that I've built up for 1,000 years. Never realizing that a child who taught herself how to fight by just watching your organization, by watching your people, is more like you than your son. Like, he should have groomed his daughter, because she is going to be just like him, just as evil as he was. Because before he met the mom, he was a bad motherfucker.
yeah, and the mom love would do some strange things to you, and um, and that's what I mean. I think she's going to end up being more lethal than the father. Although I think her brothers in some way will be her soft spot, but I don't know, because I know she still has some resentment towards him too. But it was nice to see them kind of make up and fight alongside each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how their paths diverge in future Shang-Chi movies, and then just in the MCU universe, like what her bigger role is going to be in the MCU. So that was really interesting. And I also thought it was interesting that their dad knew all along. Like, both of them ran away from home at young ages. What, she left at 16? She said when she finally realized he wasn't coming back, wasn't she around 16?
Mm-hmm.
And he left like when he was 14. So they both left, never went back, and changed their names and thought that they were hiding. And it turns out that he knew where they were all along.
What
So
made them think he didn't, though?
really, considering who he was.
Yeah, like, I'm like, you, like, your father, like, that's your father. Like, come on. Like, if anything, he left you alone. There's no way that you're gonna run away from him and him not know where you are, especially seeing as how he was training one of you to take over for him. Like, no, he just kind of was like, okay, you're gonna need some freedom. So when you come back, you're fully ready to take over from, where I left off, kind of thing. Like, it was just, I was like, that's so naive of y'all to think that he ain't know where you were.
Yeah, but I thought that too. But I also thought it was an interesting choice on his part to leave them alone. And what's so weird is that he was doing it out of his own warped sense of love, because the only reason, like, he didn't bring them back and he didn't do what he did to kill them, but he did until the end, when he ultimately thought. But initially he thought he was bringing them back to reunite their whole family, because he thought their mom was talking to them beyond the dead, and I guess he had this warped idea in his mind that they were all of a sudden just going to be this one big happy family with their mom, reuniting them and stuff like that. But so, I just thought it was interesting that he did leave them alone all those years. And I guess it's like you said, because when they did come back, he wanted them to come back on their own, or to be ready to actually take over. But then when he, quote unquote, went and got them, he basically did it out of his own warped sense of love and family, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he knew the only way to get Shang-Chi back was to basically get to him through his sister, even though they hadn't talked in forever.
Yep.
So I
He
thought that
used her.
he did. And
Till the end, he didn't really love his daughter.
you don't think he loved her at all? Like, had any?
I'm sure he had a father love that fathers just have for their kids automatically, but to love her enough to acknowledge her presence and what she brought to the table, no.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it now that you say that. I I don't ever remember him really in the movie paying
Acknowledging
it.
her.
Yeah, paying attention to her or acknowledging her in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow. Kudos to Tony Long. And just because now that you say that, like you said, you got from her that she was the child that was left behind, and you saw it, like, literally in the movie, that she was ignored. Like, he, especially after her mom passed, how he didn't really pay much attention to her. But even as an adult, when they were there, he still didn't really acknowledge her. Like, even in scenes where they were together, where they filmed together, it's like she was that invisible person.
Yep.
Wow. He paid more attention to Katie than he paid to her.
Yep. And the only reason why he paid attention to Katie is because she was connected to his son, who was the most important person to him.
Aside from his dead wife. Wow. So, and I'm speaking of which, going back to something we kind of touched on earlier, I wonder what that thing, that soul sucking dragon thing, I wonder what its connection is to their 10 rings. Because it was the 10 rings that it was communicating through to get him to believe that he was listening, hearing his wife. But they also said the 10 rings were the only thing that could destroy it. So I wonder
Well,
if
the 10 rings was the only thing that could get it out.
to get it out. Okay.
Yeah, to break down the actual wall that was created by the dragon.
Huh. So I wonder what ultimately his connection is, because we probably in some way.
But it connected to anything. So you remember when she said that there have been other people that came to the village thinking that they were going to get it because they also heard voices. They didn't have the 10 rings. So I think the demon just used whatever was available. And when they realized that the power of the 10 rings, and it was like, oh, shoot, like, I'm going to go full force on this because this is one way that I can finally get out because the other ones just didn't work.
So I guess, was it a grief demon? If it used.
No, it was just a demon that wanted to get out of its trap door.
Well, yeah, but I guess it played on people's grief is what I'm getting at. Because
No, it played on their. It remember
well, she
what was
said
her name?
that other people came to the village thinking they had heard the voices of loved ones. So I'm assuming that these were.
No, of their greatest desire.
Oh,
of their
okay.
greatest desire, and his greatest desire was to have his wife back. So it just played on whatever their greatest desire was. So it wasn't necessarily someone who died is who was speaking to them, but it would tell them like, oh, if you come and get me, then you can basically get your great, like they just played on the person's greatest desire that they wanted in life. It just happened to be that their father's greatest desire was to have his wife back because he really, really did love her, and he lost himself when she died.
Hmm. I okay, so it was a desire demon. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, and like he lost himself and he went back to. So did he become a worse version of who he was before he met her,
No,
or did it just seem like it was because at this point he had children and he dragged his children, mainly his son, into this?
that's the reason why. Like he
Yeah,
was just as bad.
yeah.
He was
Because
just
I'm
as
like,
bad before.
dude, you're taking your son to watch you murder somebody.
Blood for blood.
Yeah,
I mean, he
that
ran a gang, so I understand him taking his son because you run a gang. So there's certain rules and certain lessons that have to be taught for the person that you want to take over. And one of those was blood for blood. So yeah, you're taking your young son because he needs to see what he would need to do if this ever happened to him. Blood for blood. It's just the way that the gang world works.
But I want to know what the hell made them think that they could go walk into that man's whatever, his house, his palace, his territory, his compound, and get away with killing his wife.
Because they got away with killing his wife. They killed her.
I know, but I want to know what makes them think they could get away with it, because they didn't get away with it because he hunted all of them down and he got them all. So I
True,
mean
and
that.
I think they just didn't think that because once again he had two young kids, right? So if their mom dies, a regular person would try to figure out how they're going to raise their kids without the mom. Because he gave up the rings completely, and this had been a couple years. You got to remember, like this had been a couple years. So I think that they didn't think that they probably didn't think that he would go back to his old ways. But once again, blood for blood.
Yeah,
He
I
took
mean,
them down, so mama had
and
to
I
die.
guess and I guess that's just me. Like, you was a bad motherfucker before, and you met this woman and you have the love of this woman, so you calm down. We know he wasn't completely legit. I'm just going with the things that he wasn't completely legit, because they still have that life, but he wasn't in the day to day. He himself had kind of removed himself from the day to day of it. So to me, I'm thinking, if I remember and I know who you were before, the last thing I personally want to do is go into your home and do something to just kind of trigger all that again. That's just me, me and my being too commonsensical, you know. That's just what I'm thinking. But um, I love um I love this movie. I loved it from top to bottom. I love that it went out and kicked ass, and it's going on its third week of being the number one movie in the country. I love that basically the president of Disney, not Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel, but the president of Disney, is basically having to eat crow over his comments about this being an experimental movie and them experimenting with their release dates and stuff on Disney in a theater and using this movie to do it. Um, I, I love that the majority of the cast and crew were Asian. Um, so I love that. Representation matters. I love that Marvel's first Asian superhero and a new Avenger is Asian, and I think that it's proving that people of all ethnicities want to see more people who look like them on screen doing great things, and that we're not just the villains and the sidekicks and the gangsters and the thugs and all of that kind of stuff, that we can top line films, especially films like this, and that they can be success. So I love that. What about you?
I mean, ain't nobody doing news stories about how many Asians came out to watch Shang-Chi like they did when Black Panther came out.
Yeah, I, meaning.
Meaning that the media is what you just pointed out is great. You know, like it's a movie, it was mainly Asian actors all throughout the movie, with the main characters and everything like that. And that is fantastic. I agree. Um, but they have not played into that on, you know, how successful it has been as the first real like Asian um superhero movie, and how successful it's been. Like they have not really like focused on that aspect of it. They're just focusing on the fact that, oh well, you know, they didn't think it was going to be that much of a success, and look at it. I'm like, but can we see, how did the Asian community think of it? What did they think about Shang-Chi? Did they like it? Did they enjoy it? Did they come out in droves to support it? um you know, what is their opinion of the movie? I can give my opinion, but you know, what is their opinion of the movie? Just like when Black Panther came out, and it was a whole big deal, it's a whole big thing, and I just think that the big deal about Shang-Chi is not on that same level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and I agree. I really haven't seen that many stories, and the representation goes beyond the cast. It was written,
Mm-hmm.
directed, produced. Even a lot of the crew were Asian, so and I think it's a big deal, and I think it's great. Me, I'm all about representation for everybody. I think we all want to see our stories told in different ways, and we deserve to see our stories told in different ways, and all aspects of our communities need to be represented, not just the negative, not just the bad or the stereotypical aspects, but all of them. So I love this movie, and I also love, on one hand, I understand the Black Panther comparisons, but this is not the Asian Black Panther. um, I
It
love
isn't.
that. I don't think so. I love that Simu Liu said, we can acknowledge that without the success of Black Panther, we probably would not have Shang-Chi. And I think that they took a lot from the Black Panther playbook when making this movie and realized what worked and the successes of that. So I get that, and I get some of I get the comparisons, but I would not call this the Asian Black Panther like that. Uh,
No, because that takes away from who
yeah,
like
so
Shang-Chi. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the big hoopla about Black Panther, where you went out and you talked to black viewers, and you know, you had a lot of news stories about how black people felt about this and everything like that. Representation matter. But let me see, what do the people that are being represented think about the movie representing them? And I haven't really seen that. Like it that I only brought up Black Panther because of, you know, they did that for the black community, where, you know, they talked to us, and you know, we were able to, you know, put out our opinion. It was a whole, but I haven't seen that with the Asian community of having Shang-Chi come out and everything like that. That was my only comparison to Black Panther.
oh yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. That was something I'd actually written, is that I'd seen a lot of comparisons, like where people were saying it's the Asian Black Panther, um, and that's what I was saying. No, I understand, you know, the need, not the need necessarily. I understand where some of the comparisons are coming from, but as far as calling this movie overall the Asian Black Panther, no, definitely not. But I'm with you. I haven't seen I've seen a few, and mostly overall, what I've seen has been positive, and that But I haven't seen, like you said, the onslaught of interviewing Asians or other members of the Asian community and seeing how they felt about making the movie. The cast and crew, yes, I've seen interviews with them, but everyday people who are represented in this movie, no, I haven't seen a lot. Pertaining to their opinions on the movie. I know that a lot of people were out, Asian people were out at the premieres and stuff like that. But as far as like stories written up about it, no, which is kind of sad, I think. Um, but we'll see. We will definitely see. Now I will say one thing that I absolutely did love, which has been hard to find. It is sometimes hard to find a great soundtrack for a movie. You'll find a soundtrack that has a good song or two, but I love this soundtrack from beginning to end, and I have not been able to get enough. And it was produced by 88 Rising, which is a Korean American music production company. Nikki, not Nikki from Hyphen, but the female Nikki, Rich Brian, and a lot of Asian acts are on that label. The soundtrack features predominantly Asian acts. Did you ever get a chance to listen to the whole thing, or did you still?
Nope. I listened to BB and Mark.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I will say I listened to a couple more songs and I'm not as impressed about the actual songs, but the beats were nice.
I loved it. I thought it was really good. It features Anderson Paak, Swally, Janae Aiko, Nikki, 88 Rising as a crew. Rich Brian also has a feature by Rick Ross and some other people, DJ Snake. I really like it. I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's hard to find a good all-around soundtrack for a movie, but the Shang-Chi soundtrack fits the bill of being one of the best soundtracks I've heard. So, movie soundtracks. So, I would definitely recommend it. Anything else about Shang-Chi you want to discuss? Did I miss anything? Did we miss anything?
No, we're good.
We covered it all. And I highly recommend Tammy listen to the soundtrack, the whole thing. Just not the
I ain't going to.
I know. One day. One day.
You always say one day, and that one day ain't never coming, but that, we can still dream.
I'm praying for a miracle. One day I'm gonna get you to step outside your bubble more. Sometimes I do, and sometimes it's like, nope, it's not a day we're gonna bust the bubble. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So overall, what would you rate Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings?
I'm gonna rate Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings to be a 4 popcorns. It was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see how they include this new character into the Marvel universe.
I agree. I'm going to rate it a slightly bit higher. I'm rating it 4.25 popcorns. I didn't. I actually enjoyed it. It did surpass my expectations. I like I said, I tried to leave all my bias at the door, as well as one thing that kind of made it less enjoyable was the movie experience is getting a little crazy out there. So I had to finagle some new seats at the movies in order to fully enjoy it without being all paranoid, which isn't the movie's fault, but that is part of the experience. But yeah, a 4.25. It is really good. I highly recommend it. If you're waiting for it to come on Disney Plus, get it. Check it out the first weekend it streams. Help those streaming numbers get up. Also, when it goes to iTunes or whatever, Apple, Amazon, wherever you buy your movies, add it to your collection. It's definitely going into the collection. So I enjoyed it. Stream the soundtrack. It is amazing. So you can work out to it. You can just have it on in the background as you're doing something. Great soundtrack. The Mark and BB song is great. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it is good. So, just check it out. It's also going to be on the page. And I think that does it. For this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date with the latest in entertainment pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the Popcorn Wind Down. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, 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 pop. Have you gotten my subpoena yet? Have you gotten my summons?
Unfortunately, Trevor Noah seems to be backed up with his whole law firm.
Well, he did go back to his day job this week, so it's coming though. It's coming. I'm gonna give him a call and see. I'm be like, I know you doing the daily show to pay the law firm bills, but I'm gonna need you to serve my summons, homie. Because I need my sound effect. And Kexty and Kavanaugh is waiting for the case. Anyway, that does it. So thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we discuss Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. You're not gonna stop me? You're gonna let me say it 5 times?
Oh, you say it 5 times and it's a wrap. Like, so I was waiting to see when you was gonna stop yourself.
See, I'm adding that to the case. You're supposed to have my back. We in this together.
Oh, now when it come to Candyman, girl, please. I'm gonna be like that white girl that ran. I'm gonna be like the Asian girl that ran out of the bathroom.
She's like, no, I'm good. So to find out more what we're talking about and our thoughts on Candyman, be sure to join us next week. And until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.